officially practice starts on Friday evening, but we were able to do group workouts, and since we came off a fall break, we'll do an hour workout today and an hour workout tomorrow. So kind of leading right into our practice on Friday night. I think everybody's very excited and ready to go.
Hey, Chris, what's the answer to the first obvious question, which is how are you going to be? I'm sure you're going to hear that a lot tomorrow, too. Just in general, can you maintain what you've got started here, or because of the experience, experience missing, should people be expecting a bit of a drop-off?
Well, you know, that's the beauty of going out and playing. You know, I don't think we know. I mean, we definitely lost some very, very, very good players, a couple of great players, and those are always going to be difficult to replace. But at the same time, I think those guys, through their leadership and accomplishments, have helped us to be a better program in the future. And we feel like we have very good players in our program, and we're confident moving forward. I don't know exactly how it's going to play out, John, but we'll have our own set of expectations and goals and try to reach those, and I do think that we have some very good players in the program.
How much of your preseason has spent explaining to the guys, you know, what you did, trying to do it again is really, really hard. Right. Let's manage our own expectations first from the inside before we even worry about what happens outside. Right.
Well, I think that's a great point. We need to make sure that we do have an understanding that, you know, the best thing to do is go about it as incrementally as possible. So, you know, we need to be good today. We need to have a good warm-up. We need to have a good segment of offense or whatever. And then let's make sure that we have a good first game, second game. And because I think if you look at, you know, the things the team accomplished last year, it's a little bit too big to kind of to wrap your head around, and there's no sense in trying to replicate that today. So I think that's a good point. We just try to make sure that we want to go about our business every day as best we can and try to get a little bit better. And I think we have the capability to do that.
How valuable was that experience, though? Because you had Darian and Darius and Fran getting valuable minutes in the Sweet 16. I mean,
well, there's no question about, there's all positives come from how great of a year it was and how great of a season. And I think those guys coming back and not only knowing how exciting it was, but how much work went into that. You know, now we're at a point where, you know, all the guys who are in our program now have, you know, been part of teams that have won 20 games, teams that have advanced to the postseason. So the struggle that we've kind of always reminded our guys about is not as clear in these guys' minds. So we need to make sure that they understand that we need to take those experiences and kind of help them to not only give us confidence, but help us to understand how hard we have to work to get to that point.
Great. Excuse me. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Does the offensive and/or defensive approach change with a different group, or do you intend to do the same sorts of things?
Well, I think they change, yeah. I think the face of the team will change. The players making the plays will change. You know, we want to have some, you know, some kind of firm things that we always do, you know, share the ball, play very good defense, not turn the ball over, those kinds of things. But I think you'll see some changes. You know, we're not going to be as good of a shooting team as we were last year or in the past couple of years. But hopefully we're a team that maybe gets to the free throw line more. So we're not going to make the guys fit into what we were last year or the year before. We're going to make sure that our identity is based on the strengths of our best players.
It's easy to look at last year's record and last year's accomplishments and say that, oh, you're a pretty good coach now.
Sure.
But
yeah.
While you may not feel that you have changed your tenets of coaching, are you a better coach in terms of matchups or maybe in terms of relationships with players? I mean, I don't know that you could have seen yourself doing this regardless of who you had on your roster maybe 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah, I would hope so. I think everybody, has to improve in their careers, and you a big part of that improvement comes from your experience. And I think, again, the number one reason we've been successful is we have good players on the team. But I do think that all of us, our coaches, everyone has improved, have gotten, just a more and more clear idea of how we're going to go about being successful. And when you have that, when that becomes more clear, it's easy to strive toward. When that's a little bit, and again, it gets more clear because you have good players. When that's difficult to see, then I think that's where you have some issues, and it's a little bit more of a struggle.
You seem to be tempering expectations for the season, but you do have some talent coming back that will play 36 minutes instead of 12 minutes. I mean, you have
Sure.
some talent coming back.
Sure, and I don't mean to temper expectations. Again, I've said this before. It doesn't necessarily matter to us what everyone else's expectations are. We'll have a set of goals or things that we'd like to accomplish, and we do feel like we have some very good players. I think Cedric Lindsay is a terrific player. I think Darius Garrett has helped us get to this point and will be even better this year. Francis Martell and Darian Brothers, Derek Williams. I mean, we have some good players, and it just so happens they didn't get to play a whole heck of a lot because of the senior class that we had last year.
Will you be relying on Brothers for a higher percentage of your scoring, and does he know that coming into the season, being the outside threat that he can be?
Yes and yes. I think Darian, during a game last year, we thought Darian took a bad shot, and I called him over and said, next year, Darian, I'm going to pat you on the back for taking that shot and tell you not to worry about it. But last year, Justin needs to get that shot. I think Darian has worked very, very hard. He's put himself in a position where he can, he just has the ability and I think the mindset to have a great season and to be a great player. And I think he has the understanding that we're going to need him to score for us.
Coach Mooney, so much of your success late last season was linked to defense.
Mm-hmm.
With such a relatively inexperienced group, can that be maintained given the style of defense you play and the experience required to be good?
I hope so, John. I thought 2 years ago we were really truly a great defensive team. Just statistically in the games, turning teams over, not letting them score. I thought last year we were pretty good, and at the end we were very, very good. I think this year we have the potential to be a great defensive team again. I think this will be our best rebounding team, and I think I really do believe we have the potential to be a great defensive team. We're going to need to be, especially early, but I do believe Cedric's a great defender. Francis is a great defender. Darius obviously is a game-changing defender. So we have some guys out there who can really impact the game defensively.
How did you approach non-conference scheduling?
Well,
given the losses and what you have back.
Yeah, we wanted to be as aggressive as possible. I think, our guys have an expectation of playing a good national schedule, and we wanted to. We always want to try to play just as challenging a schedule as we can. Going to UCLA is obviously a highlight. Playing Illinois down in Cancun, but our games, Iona's picked to win their conference. Davidson picked to win their conference. Obviously, Old Dominion, always a very good program. So we feel like we've put together a very, very good schedule.
Might your experience in your second and third seasons here help you and your staff as you go into another transitional situation there?
Probably so, but the second season, we started 4 freshmen, I think, 15, 16 times. And so that's just, absurd. And so that is a very, very difficult thing to do. For us now coming in and having all these returning players, I agree. I know what you're saying. It's more of a transition. Hopefully we can manage it and draw on that experience. But going from our second season, that was just a difficult task.
How is the health of your players at this point?
Good.
You don't have any problems? They're keeping guys out?
No.
Do you have any relationship with Shaka outside of the one time that you meet per year? Have you had a chance to bump into him somewhere, or just the two of you reflect on what both teams were able to accomplish last year?
Yeah, we have been able to, and we've been talking about this year's game down at VCU, trying to both schools and both coaches trying to really embrace more so the coaches versus cancer, and hopefully trying to make that our game, the black and blue game, benefit coaches versus cancer. So we've been working hard together to try to put that together, both ourselves and kind of some people in our administration. So, yeah, I think we have a very good relationship. We see each other, at different charity events, and, I think, obviously, yeah, we're
Kendall Anthony's list is 140 pounds. Can a guy that size make an impact? Sure.
Kendall is a very, very, very good player. He's explosive. He has the ability to do a lot of different things. I think that he's going to have. He has a chance to have a very, very good career.
And obviously, locally, could you speak about Trey Gray and the prospects of him getting into Trey Davis, getting into the mix
sure.
This season?
Trey is. One thing about Trey, similar to Kendall, is physically ready to be a college basketball player, which is extremely rare for such a young guy. But he's strong. He's very aggressive. He's a very smart player, and I think he's kind of a rugged player. And I think Trey has a chance to really help us, and again, to have a very, very good career.